So I'm on my way to Imabari, Shikoku, to ride the Shimanami one more time with my 3 friends. 3 are all from Alaska. The senior member is Joe. He's 80 years old. Joe hired me when I was a university student to work at the Alaska State Fair as a production manager. He was the entertainment director. So we've been in contact for decades. And they are coming to Japan to ride the Shimanami one last time. So I will be kind of guiding them, but I don't really know the Shimanami very well. I'm not a cyclist, but this is what we're set out to do. So I'm here at Okayama Station now. This is where the Shiokaze train leaves to Imabari, which is about 2 hours from here. So that's the plan. This begins the adventure of 4 people, 3 from Alaska. We're all a little bit older, and we're gonna take on the Shimanami. Not the entire way. We're gonna do parts of it, maybe 3 islands, because it's a little bit strenuous. Also, we're gonna get e-bikes this time, and so hopefully it'll be easier and we can get through it with no major incident. That's my hope. Everyone stays healthy, no injuries, and we get through these next 2 days riding the Shimanami. So I'm on the train from Okayama to Imabari, and this is the limited express on this Yosan line. You can also go to Fukuyama Station by Shinkansen and then take the bus from there. It's about 1.5 hours. It's a little bit faster by bus. However, I prefer the train, but it takes a little bit longer. So as we ride along the coast of Shikoku, we just crossed over from Honshu to Shikoku, and now we're going along the coastline, and we're going to head to Imabari, where the starting point for the Shimanami on this side is. A lot of people cycle from Onomichi to Imabari, 75 kilometers. However, we couldn't get a hotel because everything was booked out. So we ended up doing the reverse. And the reverse is we decided to make Imabari the starting point. You can do that. It's just that you have to get there, which is a bit cumbersome to get to Imabari. Where if you start from Onomichi, you just take the Shinkansen to Fukuyama. And from Fukuyama, you just take the local train and you're at Onomichi. So very convenient to start on the Onomichi side. However, due to so many tourists and visitors coming through and riding the Shimanami, we'll start from Imabari. It's not a problem except just getting there and then getting home, since that's our base camp. We're going to stay there 3 nights. So we're going to have 2 complete days riding from Imabari. And we're not going to go across the entire way, but we're going to do 3 islands and maybe another 3 islands. So break it up, because on the Onomichi side, that first island, there wasn't that much to see. So I thought that, well, either way, I could start from Imabari and do different parts, and also make sure that I have ferry ports that I know in case that we want to come back on the ferry. If it's too difficult or for whatever reason, we can. Or we can still go out on the ferry and then ride back. So leaving all the options open. I have an idea. I have the maps. I've kind of gone over it. So this is it. Riding the Shimanami from Shikoku, just doing the different islands, catching the different sites and areas. Should be interesting. Hopefully the weather holds out. It's all about the weather. If it rains and pours, believe me, it's not going to be a good time. Tomorrow's supposed to be sunny, which is the first day. Second day was going to be cloudy, but as long as it doesn't rain. So we're riding through rural Japan along the coast of Shikoku. And Shikoku is primarily agricultural land, you know, growing vegetables, rice especially, mikan, lemons, and other fruits and vegetables. It's very rural, and there are no conveniences, you know. So if you're used to being in Tokyo or Osaka or Kyoto, and then you come here thinking it's going to be like that, it's not. There's not a 7-Eleven, a convenience store in every corner. You have to really plan it out and work at it. And if you speak Japanese, that really helps. If you don't, maybe you want to bring a pocket translator like a pocket dog, or maybe have it on your phone, a translator, because it's not that easy traveling through, you know, rural Japan. Even me, I speak some Japanese. I still struggle with making mistakes, getting lost. But that's part of the fun of traveling through rural Japan. And because Japan is so safe, at least you don't have to worry about anybody trying to rob you or scam you or whatever, you know. People may be a little more timid, shy, standoffish, and there are others who are very, very kind, so it just depends. But again, it's in any rural country or any rural area. So the way this trip started out was, so my really good friend Joe Lockton and his wife Ginny from decades ago wanted to get together again They live in Alaska, Palmer, Alaska, and I live here in Kyoto Nabe, Kyoto. So they're flying over to, get together, and they wanted to do something interesting, not just see the temples, and they're really Alaska people, really tough and rough. So they wanted to, maybe hike or maybe to cycle. And I suggested the Shimanami. And we had planned it, almost a year ago, but I didn't know anything about it, and I didn't know what it was like. So in November of last year, I decided I better go and test out the route, because I'm supposed to be kind of the guide, but I don't really know what I'm doing. So anyway, I went out from Onomichi. I did try to ride it, and in my earlier video I made, I talked about all the mistakes I made and also what some of the challenges are. So now I'm a little more experienced, but I still am not a cyclist, and we are going to bike out of Imabari, not from Onomichi, which is a little different, but should be interesting because not many people start from Imabari. Most people start from Onomichi. I don't really know how it's going to go from the Imabari side, but I guess that's part of the challenge. Kind of exciting, kind of interesting, and I'll be with 3 others, so different than cycling alone. You can help one another, and you got 8 eyes instead of 2. So this train is a little bit bumpy and a little bit shaky, so you gotta hang on to things as you walk. But yeah, it's part of the fun, right? Whoa. And this is supposed to be a limited express, so it's going quite fast. Not that many people on this train though, because not that many people are traveling between Shikoku and Okayama or Honshu. So I feel bad for Shikoku because they don't have that much economic strength. Mainly it's agriculture, the growing of rice, vegetables, mikan, they're famous for lemon, other fruits and vegetables. They do have the 88 temple pilgrimage that a lot of people come and want to do. And if you want to do it the official way, you walk it. Probably take you about 2 months. You stay at the different temples. The temples are not as cheap as, like, for example, I heard the Camino, the Christian pilgrimage in Europe. That one is, I think, 1,000 kilometers, and you can do it in a month. And it seems a lot of the places stay much cheaper. Here, I would guess it's about 5,000 yen, a little less than $50 a night to stay at the temple. But I haven't done it yet, so I don't really know. But again, that's something that Shikoku offers. The beautiful rivers. You want to see the old Japan? Shikoku is definitely the old Japan. So I made it to Imabari, and I'm here in the hotel, the Imabari Kokusai Hotel. Today's the first day, and we're getting ready to leave soon. It was great to see my old friends Joe and Ginny Lawton, and I met their good friend Peter. And so that's the team, 4 of us. We take off. Yesterday, after arriving, I went to check in at the Giant store, which is where we're renting the e-bikes. The other 3 came, and we went back to the station because there's this process about registering and signing in, and then they have to show you how the e-bike works and get a helmet and size the saddle, and that process takes 30 to 60 minutes. There was 4 of us. He told us to come yesterday instead of this morning, which is when they open at 9, which we thought we would come, but he said if we went yesterday, we would get that out of the way because a lot of groups, people who are renting bicycles are coming, and they all, I guess, need the same type of processing and information, so we would have to wait, if maybe like half an hour, sometimes even an hour. So we went yesterday, got that done. We're going to go back. You can't pay in advance. I'm not sure why. They did all the registration, the fitting, the helmet. They have our bike ready to go. They showed us how the charger uses. They gave us the charging pack, so we brought them back to the hotel, but they wouldn't let us pay. So when we go back today, we will pay, and then we can just go. So I suggest anybody who is renting, depending on your shop, of course, check with them if you can check in the day before as far as going through the process. I would say it took us about close to 40 minutes to an hour just to go through all the different things. Of course, we had a lot of questions. If you don't have any questions and you just go through the process, maybe 20 minutes, but still you may have to wait because other groups and people are coming to rent at 9 o'clock in the morning. And 9 o'clock is not that early. I wish it was earlier, but well, it is what it is. We don't have to return the bike. Like the other shop in Onomichi, you would have to return the e-bike and they would charge it. You would rent another e-bike for the next day. So it's really, that way it's cumbersome also, right? You gotta bring it in, you gotta check it in, and then they charge it for you next morning. So basically you would have 2 contracts because you can't go from day to day. So that's also a hindrance. So what I've learned is that here out in rural Japan, this is Shikoku, but even on the Onomichi side in Hiroshima, which is still an outlying area, things are still very inconvenient. The system is not set up. Like one of the things we have are the rescue points, and they have it in English. They have it in Japanese also. This is where you call if it's their shop, if there's a motor problem, something to do, not just regular flat tires, but something that has to do with the motor or the mechanical failure. And here, down here are the rescue taxis. This is where they come to pick up your taxi. We have 2 taxis like that, so you have to let them know that, you know, how many bikes. And like we have an e-bike. I didn't realize e-bikes are so heavy. You know, they're like 19 kilos, I think. So that's close to 50 pounds. So it's really heavy. So not all taxis can do that. So there's special taxis. But the ones up here, the places where you can take to get your tires fixed, you know, something more minor mechanical things that need to be fixed, they're closed on Sunday. That's today. So you would think that you would be open every day because who's going to service the cyclists? So things like that, I find that it's real inconvenient and not really service oriented. And even here at the hotel, this is the nicest hotel in all of Imabari Kokusai Hotel. I can see where the service level is 1 or maybe even 2 steps down from like the city. I just came from Kyoto and Hakone and from Tokyo, so I can easily compare now that the level of service, attention to detail, and just the quickness and the response and the greeting is much lower here in Imabari, in Shikoku, and even at Onomichi. They were better than here, but still, even things like the room here, it's a nice room, but like, for example, air conditioning here. It was really hot yesterday or warm in the room, so if you turn it on, it doesn't really get cool. And when I called down, they said, well, it's a gradual cool. I mean, it's not too warm or anything, but it is doesn't feel very cool. And at Onomichi, I remember when I was staying there, it got really warm in the day, and when people wanted to turn on their air conditioning because they had only heat, they said no, the season, once it changes, the whole building has to change to all heat or all air conditioning. That doesn't work, right? And that was at Onomichi on the Hiroshima side. So facility wise, still below average. And overall service, like for example, yesterday we took the taxi 3 times, and the first person I had didn't say thank you or welcome or anything at all. You just get in, kind of like grunted. Reminded me of like American taxis, you know. And then, you know, when you pay, nothing. He didn't say anything. You know, and maybe he was upset because I had a short cab fare, only like 590 yen from the station to here, because the hotel is not close enough, but not far enough, almost in that kind of general area. And then we took it twice after to go to the station to check in and do the processing with the giant bicycle shop, and then to return. And none of those taxis really said thank you or anything. So service level in Imabari, Shikoku, maybe I don't know overall Shikoku, but I'm just guessing in rural areas like Shikoku, maybe 1 to 2 steps lower than like in a city like Tokyo or Osaka or Kyoto. It's like, this is more of a depressed economic area, right? They don't have much going on. There's a towel factory. Imabari is famous for its towel factory. However, overall, it's still depressed, and their level of service, like for tourists and things, is quite low. So just know that. I'm just being honest. You know, I wish that they take it up a few notches. But you know, a lot of the best, you know, the smartest and brightest people that come out of rural areas, they migrate to the city to get work, because that's where the work and the money is. So, you know, people who are left are more people who are going to work in agriculture or, you know, some of the service industries. But still, I was very surprised that last time in Onomichi on the Hiroshima side, you know, people are still nice and everything, but it's just, I can't explain it. But, you know, I've been in Japan over 25 years. I just came from Kyoto, Hakone, and Tokyo, and I can compare quite easily now because I just came from there. I hope Imabari and I hope the Shikoku area gets it. You know, the little things like the taxi, not saying anything. 3 taxis. Not one time, 3 times. So I know it wasn't just me. It was the attitude or the mood of the place, which is, I sensed it the last time I came to Imabari, the last time in November when I took the bus here, stayed in a ryokan, and just, you know, went to 7-Eleven, to different places. It's kind of a depressed area, and the service wasn't very good then, and now I know for sure.